What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. But before we get on to the topic, I would love for you to do a few things. Hit the subscribe button if you have not already done so. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the bell icon so that you get notifications for whenever I produce new content on this channel. And make sure that you leave me a comment at the end of this video so that I can respond to it when all is said and done. For today's topic, I want to talk about why, if life was a story, pro-blacks will be the anti-heroes of the story. So the first thing that we need to look at is how people typically see and define a hero. When you think about a hero of a story, you think about somebody who is good, somebody who tries to seek good, somebody who tries to seek justice, somebody who tries to seek fairness, somebody who tries to seek being able to stop chaos from destroying the world around them or things around them, or trying to do a mission that's noble. But the problem with a lot of heroism, and I think it shows a lot of times too, even when you think about comic books, and it also relates to life too, is that heroism is not really about being fair, morally just, and good. It's really about lawfulism. So there's a difference between being good and morally just and being lawful. So one who is lawful is one who basically follows the law, follows the rules, follows the things that are put in place, or follows it in a way where it's unbiased and it doesn't try to harm others because of the fact that other nuances and context are not actually considered. So what I mean by that is, when you have a hero and you have somebody who is trying to save the day, they usually are trying to follow the law as if the law does not have biases, or as if like it's not used in a biased way. When often, a lot of the times when you even look at some of these stories, you have villains who have sometimes legitimate reasons why they do the stuff that they do, or the way that they may have been wronged. And there's a hero that's nowhere to be found when they needed saving, when they needed help. So I think that what a lot of times it does is it ignores, heroism ignores context, and it looks at just the idea of lawfulness itself. But what it does is it ignores the biases that get injected in these different laws that are created. What I mean by biases is it ignores the idea that the white supremacist has control of these things and they decide the way these things go. So I think that's the ultimate problem there. Now, when I think about a villain, I think about somebody who is trying to terrorize others, who is trying to create chaos, and is trying to use a corrupt amount of power to do something that is morally bad. That's something that's unjust, something that is terrible to others. So if this was a story, I would call the people who are villains the white supremacists. That white supremacist could be overt, or that white supremacist could be covert. Now, when I think about anti-heroes, I think about the individuals who do things that are supposed to be fair and just, and they are on the side of good, but they don't necessarily have the typical traits of a hero, or the typical ways that a hero may behave. So sometimes that may mean that they're willing to go overboard. Some anti-heroes are willing to kill the bad people. Some anti-heroes are willing to bend the rules. Some anti-heroes are willing to, or they may have a personality that shows that they're not necessarily mighty, just, fair, loving, kind, caring. They may be very brash. They may be very aggressive. They may be somebody who is just totally just not the kind of level of decorum that you would typically see on somebody who would be identified as a hero. But they are aligned with heroes from time to time. But there's also times where they don't align with heroes. The reason why pro-blacks, from my perspective, are anti-heroes is because we have to almost go beyond the cuff to be able to have our needs met, to not allow society to neglect us. And that means allowing the villains to do terrible things to us and for the heroes to ignore us and act like it's okay. So we literally have to be able to speak up for ourselves. and create movements such as, reparations movements and things like that, since nobody is talking about it. Everybody's always talking about poor people and all these very general things, and how we can try to give everybody health care and all these other things, and education, which are all things, if you think about that, are impacted by white supremacy, and were impacted negatively because they knew that black people were going to be harmed the most through them. So we almost have to be vigilantes in a way, individuals who don't necessarily desire to not respect the laws, but more so believe that the laws work in their favors. So we have to do things in a different and strategic way in order to get the things that we need done, because everybody is using benign neglect to ignore our needs. So we have to basically implement things and be assertive with the ways that we feel about things. So for us, it's heroism because we are looking to try to create a fair and just society. But at the same time, we also aren't lawful in the idea that we don't agree that the laws that are there that a typical hero, quote unquote, would follow actually do justice for everybody, specifically for us. We also know that the villain is specifically targeting us. And if you're trying to stop a villain, don't stop them just generally speaking because they hurt all people. Stop them because of the way that they hurt specific people and the things that they do, and actually do things to try to stop that. When it comes to who are the actual heroes, I think the problem is that a lot of times the heroes are looked at as like liberal whites, people who believe in integration narratives and things like that. They're typically the individuals who are seen as heroes. And if they are not white, they're black and they're just complicit with liberal ideals and liberal ideology. Individuals who are like, oh, there should be People of Color Coalition, there should be a We Are the World Coalition, while their asses are still getting fucking ignored. So a lot of times a hero is just an individual who believes that an ideal that was already decided that seems to not have bloodshed is something that is going to be helpful and fair and just for everyone. And that's what I don't like about that ideal. And when I think about this subject, I think about characters like Captain America, for example. Captain America is considered a hero, but if you look at Captain America, there's some extreme white privilege with this character. I mean, he literally embodies that ideal of being a general force to stop what seems like a big bad evil. But if you look at Captain America, when he actually has the option to rectify these possible evils and what they may do, notice that in that last Avengers movie, when he had the opportunity to actually go back in time and fix things, he didn't go back in time and stop slavery from happening and stop, white supremacy being a thing. He went back in time to go be with his girl. So you can see the inherent selfishness even in that character and the white privilege there, and the idea of how he was able to just do basically what he wanted to do, and really at that moment wasn't even considering what was fair and just. He was only considering himself. But he's okay with receiving accolades of looking like a hero because he stopped Hydra, which is essentially an allegory for a big bad white supremacist, like an overt big bad white supremacist. So pro-black specifically have to take up the moniker of being the anti-heroes of society, because we have to, in some ways and in some points, align or be similar to what the hero basically may have said or may have done, while also having a certain level of frustration and feeling some type of way about the hero, and trying to do things and go about things in our own manner. And the reason why I say that this is our moniker, or the moniker that we've been given, is because we can't follow all the rules and then be models in society. Black people can't just be excellent, quote unquote, and just pull themselves up by their bootstraps and just be a functional group in society. There's always going to be white supremacists that are always going to exclusively tear black people down. So we have to go around that and find other ways to be able to come up and to be able to stop this, especially given that other communities have no camaraderie with us and are not trying to fight with us. So we have to kind of do our own thing and hold our own nuts to a certain extent. So being pro-black means being an anti-hero, but that doesn't mean that we're bad It means that we are tired of having to follow the same things over and over again that have not gotten us any results and have ignored us. This is, in a way, a boundary. This is a way to say that we deserve more than what we're being given. And that's why we advocate for reparations, although people are not. That's why we advocate for laws for ourselves, although other people are not. That's why we speak specifically for our community, although other people are not. Anyway, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this dialogue, this conversation, what I had to say today in this video. If you want to see other content, make sure again you hit the subscribe button, because I'll have more stuff coming out in the future. But anyway, y'all, I hope you have a good rest of y'all's day, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.